So in today's video, we're going to talk about 3 things you must do as a man in your early 20s. Let's get right into it. Now, have you seen the kids with the Lambos and they have these big mansions, they have these big yachts, and it seems like they're only 18, 20, 25 years old. And you're asking yourself, how is this all possible? I mean, how are these kids that are so young able to be able to do things so outrageous? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover 3 things that you must do as a man in your early 20s to be able to live that kind of lifestyle and become the person that you want to become. You see, all the people that you see online traveling, being able to do all these things are no different than you. And some of these people are actually very fake and they're living a lifestyle that they do not live at all. And I can tell you from experience that I've met a few people that are legit and they really are millionaires in their early 20s. And so I'm going to cover how they became millionaires at such a young age and what it takes to really be the top 1% at that age. But before we do that, let me show you guys the weather here in Bali. As you guys know, or may not know, I moved to Bali about last week, and check this out. This is my mentor's house. He's able to give me a room to stay in as he travels. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Look at the weather. I mean, you cannot beat this. I am from New York, so everything is cold. But let's go ahead and head inside. All right, so the first thing that you must do as a man in your early 20s is learn a high income skill. Now, let me drive my point across here. There's something called AI. And AI is definitely on the rise right now. And here's why it's an issue. So if you look at a lot of service-based jobs, whether it be waitress, waiter, whether it be cashiers, whether it be driving jobs, delivery jobs, these are a lot of jobs that we have in our early 20s. And the scary thing about AI is that eventually a lot of these jobs will be obsolete. And you might already see this where you live. If you go to any big store, there's a lot of self-checkouts. There's a lot of machines and automations in place already. So what do you do if you're working a job like that, or if you're getting ready for the future? Well, you must learn skills that are irreplaceable. So this could be things like sales. This could be things like marketing. This could be anything that requires a lot of thought. And a question I like to ask myself is, can a machine do this for me? If so, you might want to look for a different job. But if you do things like sales and marketing that require a lot of thought and requires person-to-person interaction, even if AI gets introduced in the future, you'll have a skill, you'll have a job that pays you very well that won't be replaced by any machine. So let me tell you a quick story of how I got into online marketing and sales. All right, so I was about 21, 22, and I was still working at a restaurant. I was being a waiter. And I realized that if I kept going down this path, that I was going to be replaced or that I wasn't going to get paid very well. And so in order to change that, I went on YouTube. I started to buy online courses so I could learn the skill of marketing, learn the skills of sales. And what happened over the past 2-3 years, I've been able to build a business online. Now, in the beginning, it was very hard, and it's going to require for you to put in the work. But I promise you, if you learn things like sales, if you learn things like marketing, it's going to pay huge dividends for you in the future, and your future self will thank you. Now, real quick, I want to take you on my laptop. I'm going to show you an example of an online sales job or marketing job that you can get. So if you guys see right here, we already can go on websites like this, remote.co, and there's a lot of jobs: sales, inbound sales manager, account manager, and these jobs will pay you anywhere from $40,000 to $100,000 per year. Now, a quick caveat is that you must be good at what you do, right? You can't expect to just get out of high school, have no experience, and get a job that pays you 6 figures. But I promise you, with full conviction, if you can put in the work and apply for jobs like this, if I were you, I would go through all of this, and there's about 30,000 results here for remote jobs. And this is only for sales. It's not including project manager, accounting, marketing, right? These are all things that you can learn and you don't have to go to college for. And I would apply to all of these jobs. If you apply to, let's say, 100 jobs, I promise you out of 100 that you would find one to be able to work with and get hired. And a benefit to this is that you're now going to be working fully remote, and you're going to be able to travel the world as you make money and make really good money, as well as build the skill of sales and marketing that won't be replaceable in the future. Okay, so this leads me to my second point as I'm doing push-ups, and that is to work on yourself more than anything else. Guys, nothing matters more than your own personal development. Because guess what? If you don't work on yourself, you're not going to be able to get the relationships that you want. If you don't work on yourself, you're not going to be able to get the girl that you want. If you don't work on yourself, you're not going to be able to make the money that you want to make. And if you don't work on yourself, you're not going to be able to do things like traveling, living in Bali, and being able to do the things that you want to do. Everything, and I mean everything, comes back to you working on yourself more than anything else, especially when you're in your 20s. Now, again, this is somebody that did not work on themselves at all in their early 20s, and I was actually smoking weed every single day. I dropped out of college. I almost failed high school, and I was in a very, very big mess. And so every day, instead of working on myself, I was actually procrastinating. I was being lazy. I was watching porn. I was watching TV. I was doing anything that I could do to enjoy myself, to bring pleasure. What I realized is that I was just wasting time and I wasn't able to develop myself as a person. And then I realized something. I realized that if I kept doing this, I was going to look back when I was 30 and wish I had done some more work on myself. The last thing that you want to do is hit 30 and regret everything that you've done up to that point. And so even though it's a time right now in your 20s to have fun, to figure yourself out, to be able to find girls that you like, it's also a time to be able to focus on yourself and grow as much as possible internally so that when you hit 30, you're hitting your prime and you're able to do the things that you want to do. Okay, so ways that you can work on yourself is things like hitting the gym, getting a workout in, eating healthy, starting to get more nutritious food in your body, learning how to socialize with people, learning how to do public speaking, learning valuable skills like the remote jobs and being able to learn sales or marketing. Anything that's going to develop you as a person internally that you can hold on to is going to be very valuable. Okay, so start today. Don't wait for it. Start today and your future self will thank you. All right, so for the last thing that you must do as a man in your early 20s is confront your fears and insecurities. I'm telling you guys right now, from experience, that if you do not handle your fears and all the insecurities that you carry right now as a man, it will come to bite you in the ass. You know, I think it's funny. I think we think that sometimes it's going to go away, and we think that if we don't address it now, that eventually in the future, if we just stop thinking about it, it will go away. And I can tell you guys, as great as that sounds, it's not going to happen. It's a false dream, and it's a false story that you need to stop telling yourself now. And the thing is, guys, you don't want to have this problem when you have kids, when you have a wife, when you have a family to take care of, and you still have fears and insecurities. That's no way to raise a family. And so when you're in your 20s, this is the perfect time to be able to take a look at all the things that give you fear, all the things that you're insecure about. Lay it down on a piece of paper and actually confront them. Research shows that by the age of 35, you are so hardwired in who you are that it's very hard to change at that age. So if there's any time to do it, it's now. So growing up, I had a lot of insecurity with the way that I looked, with the way that I talked, having anxiety around people. I hated to talk in class. I hated to give presentations and had a massive amounts of social anxiety growing up. And so I went all throughout high school and then the first part of college before I dropped out, avoiding people, avoiding conversations, not wanting to talk to anyone. And in the back of my head, I just thought that if I avoided people and I avoided my fears, that I didn't have to deal with it and everything would be fine. And soon enough, I realized that if I were to live the life that I wanted to live, to have the kind of freedom that I wanted to have, that I needed to be able to address this thing now and not in the future. And so what I did is, instead of trying to run away from these problems, I started to approach strangers. I started to do public speaking. I started an online business where I had to do a lot of sales and talk to new strangers every single day. And what that trained me to do is it trained me to confront my fears and actually lean into what's discomfortable. Naturally, as humans, we want to run away from discomfort. We want to avoid it at all costs. But the skill and the practice is to lean into discomfort. Whenever you see it pop up, lean into the discomfort and actually be okay with the fact that it's discomfortable. That again is like a muscle. Every time that you do something that's discomfortable and you get more comfortable with what's discomfortable, you're building the muscle and you're telling your mind it's okay to do things that are uncomfortable. And so take a look at all the fears, all the insecurities that you have, and realize that they're not going to go away unless you address it. And take little small action steps. It doesn't have to be a huge step, but take the action steps that are needed to be able to confront the fears and overcome them. If you are a guy in your 20s, you are in the best time to be able to do this. No one cares if you make a mistake at this age. No one will even realize that you made a mistake. And if they do, it doesn't matter, because you have so much of your life ahead of you that you can make mistakes, and you can get back up, and people will not care. All right, guys, so that wraps up the 3 things that you must do as a man in your early 20s. And guys, one last message. You owe it to yourself. Okay, you owe it to yourself to be great. You owe it to yourself to get what is yours. And I promise you, if you focus on doing these 3 things, you will become the man that you want to be when you hit 30, and you'll make sure that you make the best out of your 20s. All right, so if you guys want more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you guys want to share this with your boys, make sure to share it with your friends and family. Give this video a big thumbs up, and if there's anything that you guys want me to cover, make sure to comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.